Well, hello everyone. I think everyone's got their glutathione diploma by now, so I won't get to the technical side. But a little bit about my history. I've obviously been competing for Australia in a few different sports. My main one being beach volleyball, which represented Australia for 5 years. From there I moved into Ironman, so obviously my background is very demanding on the body. Always aware of nutrition, always aware of getting good rest, recovery. But going through an Ironman schedule, there's nothing like it. It's 25 hours a week of training on top of owning a business. In saying that, you're up at 4 or 3 in the morning to train before work. You'll do your morning shift, you'll train again at lunchtime, and then you'll do another afternoon shift, and then you'll be pretty much getting your food ready in bed by 8:30. So that was a cycle for 2 years. So as you can imagine, coming to train Sue, I was very tired a lot of the time. I'd be hanging on the treadmill while she's doing her session, not very motivated. But that's what you go through as an Ironman. So you're always looking for that extra edge, or anything really to help you out. And at that stage, she was more about helping me. And I found that was very new because I was sponsored by a lot of different supplement companies. And they're always about, this is going to do this for you, that's going to do that for you. She just said, look, just take this supplement before you go over and compete. In the lead up, and I started taking it, I automatically felt a big difference as far as recovery. That's the main one for athletes, is making sure you can back up sessions, because it's not just about performing, it's about making sure that your body's recovering in time to back up to to the next session. So from there, I found a massive difference, and that's where I competed and actually completed 113th in the world, which is my very best, against 2,500 athletes. Out of that, out of 30,000 athletes that competed over the year worldwide. So great accomplishment, and I have to thank ATP and Cellgevity for that. But coming back to that, like a little touching on the amount of supplements that I was taking. I didn't know what I was taking and why I was taking it. So when I did come back, I wanted to know a little bit about what the supplement was doing. So I got my DNA tested, and then from there I started to learn about why I'm taking the supplements and what I actually needed. 99% of the supplements I didn't even need, because my genetics didn't need it. But the Cellgevity was one that I really found benefit and actually learnt a lot about and why I was taking it. So the knowledge around it is very key, which is I'm glad she runs these seminars, because it's not just about taking the supplement. You guys need to do your own homework and learn why you're taking it and how it's going to benefit you. So touching on that, I'd like to introduce, so with Web Performance, what we do, we look after motorsport specific. So we look after all V8 supercar drivers and any aspiring drivers to get up to that top level. Andre Heimgartner races in the V8 Supercar Series, so I'll introduce Andre here. He's one of my young athletes who's taking the supplement and has for probably about a year now. Probably a year?
Yeah, I'm on here.
Yeah. So not only ATP but Cellgevity. So obviously in the car, it's quite a demanding job. A lot of people think it's just getting in the car and driving laps. But the demand's quite strong. These guys have an average heart rate of about 160 to 170, which is the equivalent of running on a treadmill at speed 14 for that whole stint. Not to mention heat temperatures in the cabin getting up to 70 degrees. So you can imagine keeping alert. You're racing at 300 kilometres sometimes, and you have to be on your point as well. When I did come across Andre, he was taking a lot of caffeine at the time to get to sessions, backup sessions, because these guys have really long days. So I'll just ask Andre a little bit how he's felt about the products and a daily routine, so coming to a track meet or even just in general.
Yeah, so I sort of use a mix of both the products. So it's
Which ones are they?
Cellgevity, Max ATP.
Yep.
So more use Cellgevity in between racing. So when I'm because I work as well as race V8 supercars. So when you got to train, so you're up early all the time. You go and riding with Josh all the time. So to have the energy to get up and not feel tired always in the morning, I felt the Cellgevity makes a big difference. And when you stop taking that, you do actually notice the difference. And I was a bit skeptical about this sort of stuff. I suppose you guys are a little bit, that's why you're here to learn about it, but it does make a big difference, that and also the Max ATP. When we go on rides, if I don't take the Max ATP before I go on a ride, you notice the difference 100%. So it's like you're working up on the wrong side of the bed, and that's never good fun, is it? So, yeah. But that's sort of how I use it during the week, and then coming up to a meeting, I step it up, so I take 4 in the morning, 4 at night, and just build that up, and then my team has a trainer, and then he feeds me Max ATP throughout the weekend. And I find it's really good because it doesn't give you the drop off after you have it. So like a lot of drivers have a coffee, and that's fine because that gives you a half an hour of good energy. But the Max ATP is really good for me because you get that, that you get the energy boost, but you don't fall back down. and you don't want to be halfway through driving a race and then you find, you're feeling tired and the heat gets to you and all that sort of stuff. So I think, probably heard it from everyone, but I think the stuff's really good for what I need. It's the best supplement.
Well, what I would say for it was I was along the same lines, and I got Sue to introduce Andre, and she was the same process. Here, try this, see how you go. And it's not about she actually learnt afterwards, and that's where he learnt a lot of it from me and getting some of the seminars as well. But also outside of the car, have you found any other benefits, not just on a performance level?
Well, for example, last night I went to a housewarming. Those things sometimes get a bit loose.
You have got Winton this weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Wasn't too bad, but
I'll smash it this week.
But for example, this morning you're feeling a bit drained, so I had a couple max ATPs and you get picked up, and now I'm fine. So there's things like that. Also, I have a type of eczema, so my skin's pretty bad. That's why my eyes are a little bit unusual at the moment. But the Salgevity actually helps with that. So it's very seasonal when it comes in and out of me. But when you stop taking the Salgevity, then you really notice the difference.
Well, I can tell when I'm training, he's got a very sensitive skin, as well as his system is as well. So anything he ingests, I can kind of see it in his skin. If he's been having chocolate, he'll react a little bit more. He'll put too much sugars in there as well. But it's a massive change for him. He used to have very severe eczema to the point where it was bleeding coming to a session. So that's made a massive change as well, which is something we've just recognised probably the last 3 to 6 months, which has turned that around. So plenty of benefits there. But it really comes down to the cellular health, and that's number one. I think there's nothing more important than that, regardless of performance or general health. So now I'm actually not a performing athlete anymore, but I'm very critical on how much I actually have. And they're only having probably about 3 supplements now, and one of them's glutathione, one of them's ATP. The other one's just a Vital Greens in the morning. So I've downsized, I've saved a lot of money as well, which is what we all want. I remember opening up my cupboards and I had like 2 levels of supplements, and I'd have like 15 caps in the morning, 15 at night. I'm like, well, don't even know why I'm taking it, but it was costing me a fortune. So there's the added benefit of that as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much covering us. Has anyone got any questions at all regarding Andre and V8s or anything like that?
So maybe Andre, can you tell us a little bit about your mental clarity when you're in the car?
Do you need that in a car when you're friendly?
It's pretty important. So I haven't done back-to-back tests without taking Salgevity because I don't want to race without having it. But
The team wouldn't like that.
It's a hard one because I started taking it in the off season. So when I started racing, didn't know if it was particularly Salgevity that I was doing, but the only thing I could sort of relate it to would be outside of the car. As I was saying before, all the having to wake up early and not feeling tired. I could only imagine that would translate into the car. So.
Yeah, I think it's also awareness of where you feel you're at now. It's hard to relate to where you were before. We're very critical on ourselves of getting to that next stage. We're never happy where we are. So him personally, I can see a big difference in him currently now than what he was like probably about 6 to 12 months ago. So massive change. But yeah, it's a main benefit I think for him. But any other questions at all? Or?
I have one. So when you're driving, like you know how you're going to drive this weekend,
Yeah.
I hope you did really well. Do you take the sachets during the race? Do you get fed to you in your drink bottle and stuff?
In the car, they have the drink bottle system, and I just push a button, water squirts max ATP squirts them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a blend of a few different things, but yeah, I actually do consume it probably 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Always wondered what was in there, so a bit of a VA tragic. In case you hadn't figured that one out. You're being very quiet, isn't you? You used to ask that question. So I just wondered what was in there. Have you obviously you haven't not taken it, but I wonder if you didn't take it on race, what would happen?
Yeah. Water. So if you have water in safety cars, so when there's a crash or something and you're going around slowly for a couple of laps before they restart the race and you have a drink and everything, having the max ATP helps you sort of reset a bit, gives you a bit of energy, and then you're ready to go again. Whereas water,
I think it's a flow-on effect. For these guys, they're there at the track at 6 a.m. They don't leave there till 6 p.m. But it's not just that. You stop starting all day, so you're qualifying pracky in the morning at 9. Then you're out of the car, debrief, back in the car at say 12 or 1. then you back out of the car. So you've got it up and down. So a lot of the guys when having caffeine, they've got that back end fallout of the drop off the caffeine. And at the end of the day, they'll be backing up for the Sunday race and they're exhausted. But I think Andre's probably noticed that slide of energy, the consistent as opposed to having that fallout. And that's the main thing, especially with catering food. You've got to be pretty careful there as well. So
Yeah.
you've got to kind of contribute to that. And you've got to make sure you're steering away from that. You're also adding in the value of the glutathione.
So how many do you take, Andre, when you're racing on a race day?
And he's trying to keep up to me on the bike for about 5.
So your basic longevity is how many per day do you take?
And just normally 4 in the morning, but when I'm training hard or stepping it up, 4 morning, 4 night. So you power through it a bit, but it's,
Yeah, a lot of the athletes that I train, the V8 guys, as well as Renee Gracie and Cam Waters, are both taking the supplements as well. Cam has 4 in the morning, 4 at night. Renee's taking 2 in the morning, 2 at night because she's building up to it. She noticed a massive fallout off it. She didn't actually feel when she started taking it, but when she stopped and then started again, she had a big reaction to it. She was wiped out for a complete day. It was just because her system kind of got fed and got used to it and then stopped and then she started again and it really shook her up. But then after that she started taking it and she was feeling $1 million. So she actually reacted really well to it, which was surprising for that extent. But I do recommend getting your DNA done because that'll really give you a true indicator of what you need to be having as opposed to kind of like throwing a dart up against the wall. You're getting a bit more fine-tuned about what you need, what you're taking, why you're taking it.
And I guess from an athlete's point of view, the competitive edge, the 1% so vitally important.
Yeah, I mean, Andre will talk a little bit about in the car, but especially in the Ironman World Championships, you're on that line between wanting to commit suicide and just getting over the line, like it's that fine. But getting that extra edge, I was taking one every probably 30 minutes because at that level, you're racing for 10 hours. Under 10 hours I was, but most athletes are 10 plus. So for that period of time, you're eating whatever you can, you get to that point, you're just exhausted. But the competitive edge of taking that, I actually noticed was a massive change for me. It was almost that endurance to be able to keep going. I think I went through pretty much a box in that day though. Not to mention all the other food, but yeah, we burn about 11,000 calories over the day, which is almost a week's worth for some people. So it's quite a man I lost. As you can see there, I look like a lollipop. Small body, big head at the end. You can see me at the start there how much my glycogen depleted by the end of the race. So I think I lost 8 kilos during that race.
In one day.
In one day, yeah. Yeah, quite a stressful situation. But yeah, I can't say I was fresh after that.
Did you actually enjoy that?
It's a hard one to put your finger on because you're not doing it to enjoy it, you're doing it to learn about yourself in that kind of scenario. And I did learn a lot of gears and a lot of deep rabbit holes about myself. And you come out the other side and there's nothing more euphoric than completing something like that, I must say. But not you need to rush to do it again anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, Andre, you're going to touch on finding those tents here and there is a massive thing for you guys in qualifying.
yeah, obviously most sports pretty close sort of sport. So any sort of little edges that you get, you're obviously going to pick up and get. So that's the main sort of reason I use it. Someone says I need to do a handstand before a race to go a little bit faster, that's what I'll do. So
Yeah, they did that one.
It didn't go too well, so so it's the same sort of thing as Josh.
Yeah, I think it also the demand on athletes these days is becoming so fine. Everyone's pushing, everyone's developing, spending so much time in training their bodies that it really needs to come full circle and learn about their health a little bit more to find the edge, I think, anyway. If I knew what I knew back then when I was competing for Australia, I would have got a lot further as well, I guarantee it.
Josh, you would say that it's for all people, not just
Oh, for sure, yeah. General, as I said before, like now it's all about health for me, and I've found a massive change in myself, especially going around a lot of my other friends now, and they're all lethargic, tired. Everyone's stressed and working their bums off these days, trying to find a better career or sleeping less, and all those contributing factors make a big difference. And I think it all comes down to exactly the same reason why any athlete would do it. It's the same as anyone generally.
And so you have an offer that you wanted to...
Yeah. I mean, I also have a facility called Arena Fitness, which is a gymnasium just in Bayside here. Anyone who is here, we're all going to welcome everyone to come and see our facility and offer everyone a free health assessment, a free PT session and a free class membership for everyone. So if you're interested in coming along, one of my trainers, Jamie, is back there, so I'll introduce you guys and more than welcome. There's no strings attached because we understand that health and fitness all comes together. So yeah, even if you guys have a PT or anything, happy to just come in this facility and just say hello and have a free session.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Please join me in thanking Josh.